Hello and welcome to another jungle video, and in this one I am going to break down the best performing junglers for you to use in patch 10.4. And obviously, usually I took a bit longer to make these kinds of videos, but I'm thinking of stepping it up this year, especially as jungle seems to be getting a lot of changes quite frequently. Recently having the jungle experience buffs, and now in this last patch having the Cinderhulk buffs, and that is of course already hotfixed unfortunately, but the raw mechanic is still present, and so the jungle meta is going through a bit of a transient phase. So hopefully this video helps you in the midst of the chaos. And just remember, as always, this isn't a cut and dry tier list, just a collection of the best performing junglers that you can use in solo queue to get those wins, carry, and climb. So without hesitation, let me know in the comments what junglers you are currently using on this patch or plan to use over the course of the next few weeks. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the motion blur. And I will once again give you an S and A page of the best overall junglers, as well as some picks for the low and high MMRs respectively. Now, as you can see on the first page, once again we have Elise and Echo, and I would love to knock them down. I would love to not have them on the first page of this video, but the jungle buffs only enhanced her playstyle. She is still the most rounded early game jungler. She has literally everything in her kit in order to dominate level 3 through level 6. And once you have that ganking lead, once you have a dragon, maybe you get a Rift Herald, really it puts her in the prime position for the Dragon Soul win condition. And even if there are mechanics that allow you to come back into the game, Elise is one of those junglers that can really make the game feel over before it even began. Echo is kind of similar in that sense. He did have those nerfs as we talked about in the previous video, ended up not really mattering as much. Yes, his win rate knocked down a little bit, but he still has a huge win rate, a huge usage rate. Add into that the safety of his natural kit as well as a Dark Harvest stacking behemoth that he will eventually become. There's really not much else any other junglers can do to match that kind of game tempo, and his counter picks personally aren't really as good in the jungle as a lot of the other meta choices. And now we all know the next two picks, Master Yi and Shaco, are my personal scourge. If you play these champions in my Discord, we give you the degenerate scum roll. I'd like to point out that I have a very nice 0 mastery points in Shaco in 6 years of playing the game. I am totally pure of soul. Master Yi on the other hand really is not. The final strategy still kind of work, not that he really needs it, and honestly the most frustrating thing about dueling him is that meditate, is that damage reduction on the W. It feels like I'm not even doing damage whatsoever to him. And the fact that he really doesn't have that weak of an early game as people think, and the fact that the coordination necessary to shut him down isn't really present in solo queue, means that even higher elo players are starting to ban him on and off. And I can say the same thing about Shaco. Even if his win rate is better, his usage rate is down, and the thing is he can actually end up benefiting from a tank meta because tanks won't walk into his jungle and try and counter jungle him. It gives him a bit more prior on ganking, on invading, on counter jungling, and on that objective control. The only problem is, of course, once you get to late game and everyone's coordinated and grouped up, then Shaco will have a worse time in tank meta, but at least in the early to mid game phases, you will have more free reign and less pressure, especially on those overpushing and basically clueless ADCs. And now honestly, the one I left off on the last list because he was just dominating low elo and I didn't really feel like he had a place in the greater jungle meta, I was wrong apparently. Sett has emerged as our top tier bruiser. Now the thing is, his top lane performance is still strong. If anyone tells you this champion is not strong, they are lying to you. He is very difficult to deal with, the W is very frustrating, the E knocked together, you know, I don't really like it. If I'm gonna get knocked together, I would love Zac to do it. I'm very loyal in that sense to when I'm CC'd. But while he is one of the top 3 performing top laners and his win rate hasn't changed to this patch, the fact of the matter is he built Cinderhulk in the jungle, and as such, jungle experience buffs, Cinderhulk buffs, and now he's sitting pretty at a 54% win rate at the moment. I'm sure this will go down as the patch goes along, and his usage rate is only 1%, but I'm throwing him like he's apparently throwing everyone else on the map into this S tier list because I think this is one of the hidden OPs inside the jungle position at the moment. And if he does get nerfed, I won't feel bad whatsoever, and I will actually end up being happier. Now the next one is Trundle, and he was my hidden OP pick in the previous edition of this video. Not so hidden anymore, I think. His usage rate is still not very high, but man, this thing really has a good win rate. He moves around the map with incredible haste, he has a chomp that really hurts more than Warwick's does, and honestly every time I run into him he just puts that icicle where I don't want it to go, and I get really clobbered to death. Even if that Cinderhulk change isn't, you know, the most logical on his kit, he has seen that win rate go up a little bit. And of course he loves it when it's tank meta. You cannot forget to factor that in. The more Cinderhulk users you have running around buying resistances, the more he licks his chops and that one tooth in his mouth because he gets to steal all of that and dominate the game. Couple that with excellent objective control. Essentially, why play Warwick or something like that when you can play Trundle? Now Olaf, I'm not going to talk too much about because his win rate has gone down slightly. His presence is still good. He still does everything he needs to do. He hasn't been changed since like what, 8.15 I saw on Reddit today. The fact of the matter is he is still one of the best performing junglers. You cannot go wrong with him. If you get a few kills, you basically become another version of Trundle. Or should I say Trundle's another version of him. Either way, you're running down your enemies, you have that built-in lifesteal, that ultimate negates all CC, which is great versus tanks. You can full clear nicely, which means you benefit from the jungle experience buffs. All in all, Vikings are still invading. Now the last pick on this page is Zac. I still think he is the best quintessential overall tank for solo queue. Cinderhawk buffs coming in, even better. CC for about 1.5 years, and yeah, people like Sejuani, but honestly, I'm not seeing her performance win rates. I'm not seeing the metrics and the data back up what people feel. Zac just gives you way more punishing ganks and way more total kit to use in solo queue in an uncoordinated setting. His voice lines are amazing, his dance is him blowing himself up into a bubble, and he literally cheers himself as he flies in for a gank. I mean, what's not to love? And of course, people can TP to the blobbies. You know, if your team doesn't ward because they never do, but you want your top laner to come, dive in, die, they TP to your blobbies and you make a game-winning play. That's right, Zac helps top laners have top lane impact since 2013. Now onto our second page, we have pretty much a very similar slate in terms of Kha'Zix and Rengar. I speak about them at length in a lot of my videos and they feature in a lot of gameplays. Basically pick Kha'Zix if you like to be a typical assassin, the best one in the jungle, and you like to be a sneaky little worm, if you like to be alpha and get in people's faces, and benefit from Tiamat farming the new jungle experience buffs, as well as being able to build a variety of items and crit in order to one-shot your enemies with different forms and different styles every game. And next up we have Nunu. If you don't have a Nunu ice skating on the rivers going up and down, you're not playing it right. However, I was instructed by a Nunu main in my Discord to inform you that there are other room pages than Celerity and Water Walking. Either way, Cinderhawk buffs, objectives, dragons, heralds, consume smite, yada yada. He still does all that good stuff. And on the notes of yada yada does things and then gets ult kills, that's Karthus. Yes, Pharaoh Flare isn't allowed to exist, but apparently he is. If you want to see him get beat up by an assassin and destroyed in a 1v9 game, I just released a Shadow Assassin Kayn video for you all 2 days ago, so go watch that if you 1 like assassins and 2 hate Karthus. But the thing is, he doesn't care what meta it is because he's just gonna farm away and press R. You can gank in between that and you can solo all the dragons in the world. The thing is, he isn't too much concerned about what kind of jungle meta it is because he has his own thing going on, and that's Farming Simulator 2020. Now Rek'Sai is something that I didn't really acknowledge in the overall junglers in the last video. I am a Rek'Sai main myself, I do love to play her, I used her for Master Tier last year. The reality is the jungle experience buffs really did help her a lot more than I thought they would, simply because she loves early game pressure, she loves early game ganking, she ends up farming very quickly. You do not need Tiamat for that, please, you do not need to waste an item slot on this. The fallback experience from the jungle experience buffs about 2 weeks ago really did help her out, gives her the ability to be closer to the competition and have a bigger lead on the competition should she be really fed as you head into the mid and the late game. That, and of course we have the beautiful skin just announced, Black Frost. I am very excited. And finally, he shows up, my favorite Chimera. Honestly, as I said, I think he was a bit overrated this season as a whole. It turns out that was the case. His win rate isn't really that spectacular. Why play him when you can play Trundle, to be honest, at the moment, especially in a tank meta? He still rotates fast, he can be everywhere, he's great to get gold, great to get plat. That sort of frenetic playstyle, rotating to low HP laners who overstay, making sure you can solo Dragon level 3-4, get that Dragon Soul win condition, get the Herald very quickly, early ganks, early skirmishing. He has a lot of the things you need to learn the jungle well, and to learn the impact necessary in Season 10. They're just better junglers overall at the moment on this list. They just have more carry potential. Yes, we all go warrior when we're looking for that kind of thing, maybe a blood razor, but that does require you to be a good warrior already, and quite greedy. Finally, we have Jarvan and Lee Sin, and you know, I thought about putting Sejuani, I thought about putting something else. I just feel like Jarvan's utility and the fact that he does go with Cinderhawk as well was buffed nicely this patch. Level 2 invades if you want them, level 2 ganks if you want them. Other than that, nothing really new to report on our famous prince. But in terms of blind junglers, Lee Sin is still very strong, yes, but he is only more strong in the high elo hands at the moment. It seems all the other champion picks that are rising up, the Zacs, the Sets, the Cinderhawk champions, the strength of farming junglers, have kind of nullified his impact a little bit. That's not to say he's weak, far from it, he's actually quite strong. It's just that the more difficult the times for Lee Sin, the more his success is dictated by the player's ability. And if you took offense to that or think I was targeting you, then, you know, maybe I was. And now we move on to our low MMR page, and you will see some picks that have already been talked about in this video, including some additional ones that are specifically very good in getting people to gold. And obviously with the Cinderhawk buffs and the ability of teams to always pick full AD team comps in silver and below, and the fact that they don't seem to understand grouping, QSS, Mikhails, stopping Rammus while he's going towards you, any of those things that really make Rammus not so effective in the higher elos, it gives him a dominating win rate in this particular bracket. And simply put, any buff to AD team compositions, ADCs running around in the mid lane, top lane, coupled with buffs to Cinderhawk means that the Rammus is running around the rift with a lot of success. You've met Set and Yi before, they dominate low elo, and Mumu just had those really nice changes, the speed up on his Q, the stopping of dashes in his ultimate, plus the buff to Cinderhulk. You could see his win rate spike even further and become even a better pick once you get into those gold and platinum ranges. However, there are still other better junglers overall. It's just nice to see Riot try and bring some tanks that have older kits so they can keep up with the modern state of the game. Now on that note, you will see Shyvana, Volibear, Vi, and Nocturne. These are staples in low elo. Shyvana specifically can work with your Frozen Mallet, Devourer build. However, if you didn't see my jungle saved video or my farming jungle video, go watch those as they will give you good kits and good strategies for AP Shyvana specifically. It allows her to maximize her ultimate while still having as much impact as possible, and honestly, it's just performing better in general. However, in low MMR, attack speed, AD, tanky builds, this will be a better default for you once you've learned her kit. I'm just saying that you have two options. Make sure you pick the right one for your team comp as well as your own personal playstyle. Finally, we go to the high MMR page and nothing changes this patch. You could throw in the Trundle, you could throw in anything else that was generally strong and I marked as a high elo pick on the front two pages, but these picks are the mainstays. You can also throw in Graves technically if you like. They really simply do best when the player using them is a really good jungler, understands the enemy jungler, and understands lane states. Likewise, when your lanes understand what you do, it's also very nice. You get them a lead, they can kind of use it. They also know how to roll with a snowball and support you when you do get super fed. You know, most of the time. When they're not bitching about jungle in general. The specific ones are always the Nidalee, the Karthus, the Talia. You won't see them do as well below Masters Plus as they do above it just because it requires a mechanical prowess, a jungle understanding, and perhaps 200 IQ pathing that allows you to utilize their kits to the fullest. Okay, there you have it. I think we're in the middle of a meta shift in the jungle. The Cinderhulk buffs have taken us in that direction. There may be other hidden picks that show up over the next 2 weeks. If that's the case, if there are more jungle changes and nerfs coming next patch, I will once again make this video. We can make it a bit more routine as things change. But for now, hopefully you can find some wins from these picks in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, share, and comment if you enjoyed and learned something. I do like to try and get around 1,000 likes so that I know what you like to watch, as well as the fact it makes my beard feel like it's on the S page. Please subscribe for more videos coming very soon, and as always, I will see you all in the next tutorial.